I wrote the book because I remembered my daughter's 16 now, and I remembered going through our separation and divorce. And of course, when you decide you're going to get divorced, and you have children, the thing that you're most worried about is, are my kids going to be okay? And that was what I was really struggling with at the time. And there just weren't a whole lot of resources out there. I didn't want it to be horrible. I didn't want her to be emotionally damaged. I wanted to try to be okay, as hard as it was and as angry as I was. I wanted my ex to be okay as well. And there just weren't a whole lot of resources out there about how to do this divorce thing in a way that was healthy and in a way that minimized the damage. And so that was really kind of why I wrote the book. And so the book is my story. The biggest piece of co-parenting from the high road, I think if you can get your mind wrapped around this and figure out how to do it, I think this is what keeps you on the high road, and that's separating the partner from the parent. There's a whole lot, especially when you're going through a divorce, there's a whole lot of things that you're working through and dealing with, and you have all that baggage of what had gone on in your relationship, but that had absolutely nothing to do with this person as a parent. If they are a good, loving parent to your child, that has to be your focus, and you have to treat them as the parent, and as much as you can separate those two. And I think that's really the crux of staying on the high road. And it's hard, and it doesn't happen overnight. But I think if you can manage to get there, that's how you do it. There's nothing worse for your child than knowing that you all hate each other, because that makes them feel like that you hate part of them. And so the worst thing that you can do is speak negatively about your partner to your child, or even to other people where your child can hear. You don't have to like them, but you do have to, in my opinion, respect them and let your children know that if there is animosity, they don't need to know that. They don't need to hear that, because they will internalize that. It will happen. And that's not what you want. I mean, that is, if you're worried about damaging your child through a divorce, that's a surefire way to do it. So that would probably be the one that I think is the most important, is to just, get a therapist, talk to your friends, vent in other places, but don't let your children hear that part of the story. Yeah, my ex and I really didn't we really hadn't had any discussion about new partners and how we were going to manage all of that. And I was very, protective of my daughter, and I didn't introduce her to anyone that I was dating. I decided that until it was something that I felt was going to be very serious, or this person could potentially have a big space in her life, I was just going to keep her out of that relationship. And so, this is, years past my divorce, and I had gotten into another relationship, and he had two daughters as well. And as our relationship started to grow, before he introduced me to his daughters, he said, "Hey, my ex-wife wants to meet you. And, she wants to talk to you before you meet our daughters." And at first I was a little offended. And then I thought, she's just a mom being protective of her kids and wanting to know who they're going to be spending time with. And that's okay. And I can understand that. I can respect that. So we had our meeting. It was a little awkward, but good. It was just a quick coffee. But after that meeting, she did something that was so gracious. And I don't even know if she knew the effect that it would have, but she went back and told her daughters, "Hey, I met Darlene, and she's really nice. I really think you're going to like her." And what that did was give them permission to like me, give them permission to open their hearts to me, give them permission to give them they knew that they weren't betraying their mom by developing a friendship or a relationship with me. And that was just the biggest gift. And that was really, that really has informed the way that I moved forward and started relationships and had relationships with my ex's partner. And he has now since moved on. My daughter's father has now moved on, and he is partnered. And she and I have become really good friends. I think that the friendship sort of developed, and I don't think the friendship is a must. I know that that's really hard for a lot of people to wrap their heads around. But I felt like it was really important for me to give my daughter that same gift, that to say, she's very nice. I hope that you have a really, good relationship with her. I want that for you. And then she and I, his new partner and I, just started working together, because really, when you're co-parenting, especially when kids are young, if there's another partner that's serious and that's involved, they're part of the co-parenting picture as well. You're all working together. And I really wanted to have a good relationship with her. And thankfully, she and I have developed a really beautiful friendship as well. And so he came to me in 2019 and said, "Hey, I would really love to take this job in Los Angeles, California, but I don't want to leave our daughter. Would you consider moving?" And of course, I was kind of like, "Whoa, that's a big, it's a big thing to ask someone to do, to sort of leave our life and uproot everything, to move someplace where I didn't really know anyone." But after thinking about it and really weighing everything, I realized that it was more, my comfort was less important than Sammy having both of us in her life consistently in a meaningful way on a day-to-day basis. And so I made the decision to move. And so after that move, as I'm talking to people, I tell people, "Hey, I've moved to California from Ohio because my ex got this job," and everyone's looking at me like I'm insane. Thinking, how did we get here? How did we get to a place where I would even consider making that kind of a move? And it made me sort of reflect on the lessons that I'd learned about co-parenting, luckily pretty early on in her life, and the sort of the rocky places that we've gone through to get us to a place of really great co-parenting. And so I decided to share that with everyone, hopefully, giving people another different kind of roadmap, to co-parent in a way that's collaborative and cooperative, and to give people hope that, it is possible to do it a different way.